This is the video for the Try It section of Lesson 22, Add-ins. In this lesson, you create and install an add-in that contains a user-defined function to return the text of another cell's comment. If that sounds familiar, it's because the user-defined function that does that was used in Lesson 16. If you watched the video or read that part of the book, you will see that the UDF, which contains code to return the text of another cell's comment, is going to be that same UDF we're going to put into this new workbook. Only this workbook here is going to be saved as an add-in with that UDF in it, so that other Excel workbooks that want to avail themselves of that UDF will be able to do so by loading this add-in into their list of add-ins that they're going to want to use. So to get started, what I'm going to do, knowing that this workbook is going to be an add-in file, is to go to the Properties window, and to do that I'm going to click this File tab and the Info button and come on over here to the Properties drop-down list and click Advanced Properties. Now if you're using a version of Excel earlier than this, like 2003, you can click the File menu item on the menu bar, and Properties is one of the last items on there, on that drop-down list, that if you click it will also show you this same Properties dialog. I'm going to click the Summary tab, and here I'm going to enter the words comment text with a space in between comment and text. Now, there's a method to my madness. The reason why I'm doing this is that this is what is going to show in the add-ins dialog box for any of these other Excel workbooks in the future that will want to use this add-in. So it's not necessarily the name of the file that you enter into the title here. What you'll enter is the name of the add-in. There's a slight difference, and you'll see how this will be an advantage because it'll be easier to read in the add-ins dialog when one of the workbooks will want to maybe use it. Down here in the comments section, I'm going to add some text about this add-in. I'm going to say return text of comments in other cells. Great. Now I'm going to click OK. Now that the housekeeping work is done for the properties aspect of this add-in, let's go to the Visual Basic Editor, click the Developer tab on the ribbon and the Visual Basic icon, or you can press the Alt F11 keys. So what we're going to do is to insert a module, because we're going to put a user-defined function in here. And the UDF will be called, if you remember, if you got a chance to take a look at the video in Lesson 16, it'll be called function get comment, and with this RNG variable name as range, it'll be a cell that you enter into these parentheses, and as string is because the item that will be returned by this get comment UDF will be a string of some kind. And how we know that is that we're going to declare a string type variable called str text, like string text, as string, and we're going to say that if rng.comment is nothing, that means if the cell doesn't have a comment, then this variable will be equal to no comment. Or else the string text variable will be equal to the comment text of the cell that we're interested in, that is represented by the RNG variable name. And end if. It's a very simple user-defined function. And then you say get comment, because that is the name of this UDF, equals string text. Okay, we have our user-defined function. And we can actually now exit the Visual Basic Editor. I'm going to click this close button way up here. You could also press Alt-Q, and it's time to save this add-in. We're going to make it an add-in, and here's what you need to do. And remember, not only for yourself, but if you ever create an add-in file for one of your clients or coworkers or whoever is going to be using it, make sure you tell them that they need to remember where they save this file. So I'm going to click the Save button here, and where I'm going to save this is in the Documents folder, and My Documents, and My Add-ins. That's where I'm going to save this. And I'm going to need to save it as type Excel add-in. I'm going to actually move this dialog box way up here. Part of it's going to be out of view, but I'm going to do that so that you can see when I click this drop down arrow and the Save As Type field that Excel add-in is what I'm going to want. So I'm going to select that and then bring the Save As dialog box back into full view, and I am going to name this file comment text. There's no space in between comment and text in this file name. I'm going to have it without any spaces, comment text. It's an Excel add-in type, and it's going to go into the My Add-ins folder. Okay, we are good to go, and I'm going to click Save, and there, done. Okay, now I'm going to close all of Excel, and you get this funny looking message box that says, do you want to save the changes you made to book 1? And that's if you created the add-in from a new workbook that you just opened up Excel with at that moment. And I click Don't Save. This book 1 file has, it turns out, nothing to do with the add-in file that we just created. So I'm going to click Don't Save. Excel closes. Here's our empty desktop looking lonely. So I'm going to open a new Excel workbook that, as you can see, has a couple of comments in it. Now, what I'm going to think to myself is, with this workbook, hey, wouldn't it be cool if I were to have an add-in in here that I'm aware of is now on my computer somewhere that will return the text of these comments. So you can either click the Developer tab and this Add-ins icon, or as you noticed from earlier in this lesson in the book, you can press the Alt-TI keys, and that will bring up the Add-ins dialog. Now, of course, you don't see the comment text add-in yet, because the Add-ins dialog is only aware of these add-ins. It doesn't know yet that you have saved a brand new one onto your computer. So you need to click the Browse button, and this is where it comes into play, that you need to remember and know where it was that you placed that add-in. And where we placed it is here, and in My Documents, in My Add-ins, and I'm going to select Comment Text, because that's the add-in. You could see that it has a little add-in looking insignia kind of thing as part of its file name, and I'm going to click OK. So I actually have already earlier in my travels here, I already did select a create a comment text add-in, and that's why you saw that funny looking message box that I got. But ignore that. You will not see that in your case because you haven't created this yet on your computer. So here is the comment text add-in that's available. Now see what it has? It has a little space there, and this return text of comments in other cells, this is the product of what you placed into the properties window when you first started to assemble and design this add-in file. So here it is that you now have loaded onto your computer. You can click OK, and you can enter let's say the equals get comment user defined function, and I'm going to purposely say B1 here. Now I know that B1 doesn't have a comment, but I'm still going to enter this into cell F1, and then here it is, no comment. Now I'm going to drag this user-defined function down here, and here is this cell that says equals get comment B3, and coming over here to cell B3, there is a comment that you can read here. This is a comment in cell B3, and that is what is returned here in cell F3. Same as in cell F6, here is this comment here testing the add-in for returning comment text, and that is what got returned by this add-in file. Now take a look at this. I'm going to go into the Visual Basic Editor here and show you that in this particular case, there's the UDF because here is the add-in file. But in the lesson 22.excelvba22Add, that's the workbook that we're using that just loaded the add-in, this workbook itself has absolutely no VBA code in it. And so it's able to use VBA code without actually containing any VBA code by loading a user-defined function add-in or any kind of add-in really that has VBA in it, and that is how there is one way for you to have a workbook without any code in it that can still use VBA code because it taps into an add-in file like we have just done right here. And that is one example of how to set up an add-in file and load it for another workbook that will need it.